Right now, anyone can type a short prompt into a machine and instantly generate a flawlessly polished essay, a photorealistic portrait, or a fully orchestrated song. But this frictionless speed creates a specific kind of byproduct. Brian Eno calls it premature sheen, a state where a work looks expensive on the outside before the idea underneath has actually developed. The result is munge, an averaged-out hollow sludge that lacks any human soul. This is why art examiners often penalize students who submit a perfect final piece without showing their work. Without the evidence of messy experimentation and failed drafts, the final result feels like a sterile technical exercise rather than a personal discovery. We can visualize this system in three parts: the input of materials, the process, and the output. In most computer systems, an error during the process is a dead end. If the code glitches, the system stops and the output is ruined.
But what if we treat that breakdown as a new kind of raw material? What if the system failure is the exact input required to create something original? The great classical masters didn't actually work like rigid architects following a perfect blueprint. They operated more like experimental hackers, pushing their physical mediums until they reached a breaking point. For centuries, the standard mural technique was fresco, where paint is applied to wet plaster. It was extremely durable, but it dried too quickly for artists to add deep layers of shading or fine detail. For The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci decided to break those technical constraints. He wanted total control over light and tone, so he experimented by painting on dry plaster, using a mixture of oil and tempera. The experiment was a disaster. The paint never bonded, flaking within years and erasing Da Vinci's original brushwork. Yet this failure gave him the control to ditch golden halos, creating a shadow-filled realism that changed how viewers experienced sacred art. The physical fragility of the painting was the trade-off. He accepted a failing medium to achieve an immersive experience that fresco simply couldn't provide. We see this exact same logic of productive failure in the 1960s, as Stanley Kubrick tried to visualize a force beyond human understanding for 2001: A Space Odyssey. The monolith was originally designed as a transparent crystalline pyramid, a complex object meant to represent alien intelligence through light and geometry. But the equipment of the time couldn't handle it. Every time the crew tried to film the crystal, the studio lights and camera rigs reflected off the surface, instantly breaking the illusion. Kubrick abandoned the complex design for the exact opposite, a matte black slab that absorbed light. This simplification turned the object into a pure, unreadable void, a monolith that forced the audience to invent their own meanings. This tension between ambition and material limits also defines modern architecture, most famously in Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallingwater. Wright hung heavy concrete terraces directly over a waterfall, pushing materials to their breaking point. Ignoring warnings, he used cantilevers far too long for their weight. The buildings sagged immediately, requiring secret steel reinforcements to keep from falling into the stream. In film or architecture, the breakthrough only happens when the creator is willing to risk a total system collapse to achieve something that looks impossible. Today, contemporary digital artists are finding that same value in mechanical breakdown. Brian Eno intentionally uses broken tape machines because the flutter of a bent spindle provides a psychological warmth that perfect digital files lack. Other creators actively sabotage their own software, intentionally using corrupted files, heavy pixel distortion, and AI hallucinations to reveal the machine fingerprint behind the image. This mimics kintsugi, the 15th century Japanese practice of repairing broken pottery with visible gold. The repair isn't hidden, it becomes a chapter of the object's history. By keeping errors visible, artists prove the glitch is a vital part of the work's identity, showing the evidence of the system failing rather than pretending it is perfect. As AI tools make the most likely and most polished result the default, the definition of creative success is shifting. When a machine can produce a flawless surface in seconds, the value of that surface begins to vanish. This requires a shift from the role of the architect to the role of the gardener. Instead of demanding total control over a blueprint,
The creator sets up chaotic conditions and allows the work to develop naturally through unpredictable results. You find originality by sabotaging your tools. Use your software against its own specifications, exploit system faults, and lean into the instability of your medium. The value of a work often lies in the visible evidence of the struggle between the artist and the system. A masterpiece leaves the scars of the creative process visible for everyone to see.